This episode is brought to you by the members of the You Run Podcast Network. All of their shows and our own can be found at yourunpodcast.com, along with links to our socials and to our shop. So please head over to yourunpodcast.com today and find your next podcast experience. We are the home of entertainment.
Pie smells amazing.
And now that you've been studying the Book of Mormon, how does it make you feel?
Can you guess what kind of pie she's making?
Is it blueberry pie?
It is blueberry pie.
I knew it, my favorite.
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. The passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled.
Hello and welcome to the You Run Podcast. My name is Scott.
My name is Mark.
And this is your interactive horror movie review show run and controlled by all of our followers across social media and all of our listeners around the world. Sounds professional when I say it like that, doesn't it?
It does, but you and I both know that is not the case. But we try. We
try very hard. Each week you pick the movies on our Instagram page. We're at You Run Podcast. While you're there, follow Mark. He's at Reviews from the Crypt and at VHS from the Crypt. You can also go to our website, yourunpodcast.com. And on there, you'll find links to all of our shows, because we don't just have this one. We have a true crime show and a YouTube show as well. You'll also find links to all of the other members of the You Run Podcast Network that you'll hear about later. If you've never listened before, hello. Welcome to our little corner of horror movie review, where it's fun and entertaining. And we cover exciting movies full of action and gore. Not this month, but again, we'll talk about that in a minute. How the show works is we give you a brief synopsis of the movie. We then talk about all the things we liked, all the things we didn't like. We spoil the movie if you've not seen it. So I recommend watching the movie first, or if you're weird like some people, listen, then go watch it, knowing what's coming. But I think that's strange. We also later in the show play out any voicemails we've got. We've got a few this week. We look through Spotify comments. We play a game. We do some facts. We also have guests from time to time, and today is one of those days. But before I introduce our fabulous guest today, there's a couple of other bits I want to talk about. Today's episode brings a close to our month of art house horror. We've already covered Nosferatu, The Witch, and The Lighthouse, all Robert Eggers movies. And I would say this month has been educational for me and also a bit dull.
Yeah, yes and no in the same breath. We've had some great episodes. I think the Nosferatu movie was fucking fantastic. I think this week's episode, no spoilers intended, is fantastic. I thought The Lighthouse, no spoilers intended, was fantastic. What other one did we do?
The Witch.
The Witch.
The best one out of all the movies we've covered so far.
It wasn't. I think, in all honesty, I think that is the worst of the month, to be honest with you. But again, a fantastic movie. It's such a divisive category that I think it's really, really hard to project this type of movie upon a podcast. You know, I think podcast hosts, especially me and you, are very trashy people. And I don't mean that as a disrespect to you, but we are the fucking backwater trash of talking horror movies. You know, we have a lane and we sit very well within that lane, which is dissecting movies that more often than not are dog shit, or if they are very good, they are very good within a basic level. So when we try to discuss something like art house horror, you might like to think that you are a scholar within the horror community, that you are educated enough to be able to dissect this level of movie. I don't think that we are. I don't think for 1 second that me and you are educated enough people to be able to bring justice to Art House Horror Month. So
do you know,
for me, one thing that I can take away from this month is that it was fun, but I'm going to stay in my lane going forward.
Do you know, it's almost like we script it, but we genuinely don't, because you've just teed up perfectly what I'm about to say. We're obviously very good at talking about art house horror because we had the biggest January the show has ever had with listener numbers.
No,
And
we
picked
fucking
up-
didn't.
Yeah, we did. And we've picked up so many new listeners who've reached out across social media who never listened to us before, who loved our takes on art house horror.
Yeah, that's because it's like these fucking clowns. These clowns don't know what they're talking about.
Well, there is that. And I hope that those listeners that have joined us stick around for what we've got coming next month, which is 90 slashers, and all the months
boy.
after that throughout the year. Also, if you are one of our new listeners or an existing listener, go and leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, or subscribe to us on YouTube. That's the best way you can help the show. It's the best way you can thank us for bringing you a free podcast every single week that me and Mark pour hours of our life every week into. It's really simple to do, so go and do that. Anyway, as I said, today we are joined by a guest. This guest is a musician, a recording artist, a podcaster, a dog lover, an all-round awesome guy. He is 1/3 of an awesome podcast. He's a member of the You Run Podcast Network. Their show covers everything from comedy to music to true crime to films to TV series, game shows. Like literally, if you could think of it, their show will cover it. Their show's awesome. It really, really is. It gives us a great pleasure to welcome to the show for the very first time, Greg of the You Gonna Eat That Crust podcast.
Welcome to Bible study. We're all children of Jesus. Kumbaya, my Lord.
What's up?
Hello, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Easy, dude. How's
Thank
it
you for
going?
joining us.
Good. Dude, that mustache is killer, man. It's getting out of control.
It is. But the thing is, like, I nearly shaved it the other day, and I'm like, it's
Don't.
kind of come a gimmick on the show now, to the point where, like, if I do shave it, it's kind of going to be weird, and I have to explain why I've done it. So it's like I'm just riding the coattails of it at the moment. We'll see how it goes. But didn't we have something where we said we would do like a Sonic episode if it gets too far out? If I go full Dr. Robotnik, it's going to be a Sonic episode.
Yeah, it needs to come out to the edges of your mic or your edges of your headphone.
Listen, with
I mean,
great mustache comes
dude,
great
I'm
responsibility.
not far off. I mean, that's stretching the skin. I'll be honest with you. It's not far off.
I used to have a mustache similar to that, and I would be driving down the street, and I used to put wax in it, and I'd like look in my mirror, and I could almost like get in an accident because I was trying to like, So, with great mustache comes great responsibility. I mean,
It does indeed,
tough.
man, and I feel the responsibility daily. It's a burden, but it's one that I'm willing to take on. I feel like I'm doing it for the people at the moment.
Do damsels like cross the road when you come down there because they're worried about being tied to railroad tracks?
Dude, we're like 7 episodes in since the mustache now. You should really hit on the wacky racist stuff. You really should hone in on that.
Yeah, see, I'm saving the Dick Dastardly because there's just too much there. I could fill a whole episode with Dick Dastardly jokes and your mustache.
You putting any wax in it?
Oh yeah, man! I wax that shit. I groom that shit. I oil it. I shampoo it. I'm dedicated to the regime at the moment.
It's a lot of work.
It is. It's a strong schedule, but I'm there for it. If anything, I'll do it just to get Sonic on the Urim podcast. I feel I owe it to the people just for that reason alone. I'm striving for something great.
I think Sonic would be a great. In fact, we could do Sonic 1, 2, and 3 as a special bonus episode and cover the lot in one hit.
I think so. I don't think people would stick around to listen to us dissect an individual movie, but if I get it to that point as a special, then yeah, I think we should just hit all the trilogy in one go and just have a laugh.
Yeah,
I agree. I will share. I tell you what, if we get to that point and we get the trilogy on the show, I will shave the mustache live on the episode.
Yeah.
At the end of the show.
Scott, you gotta get the mustache song on there eventually.
Yeah.
A million ways to die in the West.
Greg, before we dive into what we're covering today, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about your show and where they can find you? Because I love your show because every time I listen, it's something different. So 1 week I get a movie review, then I get like the top 10 video games, and then the next week it's true crime. It is such a cool, like, random show. It's great.
Oh, we're covering a movie? I thought we were covering Mark's mustache.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's why we're here. This is 90% of the episode, but
Yeah.
we will talk a little bit about Heretic later on.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of a comedy podcast. 3 of us. Of course, Seamus and Ryan couldn't be there today, or couldn't be here today. But we're all over the place, whether it be, true crime, covering some movies. Of course, we're huge video game nerds and music nerds. So, yeah, we just like to have fun and, leave it all out there.
I just need to ask, does Seamus own a boat? I feel like he should own a boat.
He might.
He might. I feel like he has the name that deserves sea shanties sang about him.
Seamus is in a high stakes pool game today. Like, he's got pool playoffs, so he couldn't make it. So he says hello, and he said he's very sorry. And Ryan couldn't get out of work, so he's making the peaches.
That sucks. Being stuck at work instead of doing this, that sucks a lot. Faith is a fickle mistress, and with the hands of someone who does not believe the hype of Jesus Christ, it could be turned into a powerful weapon to cause doubt, fear, and despair, which is exactly what happens to 2 Mormon girls as they knock on the door of Mr. Reed, played by the fabulous Hugh Grant. After some pleasantries, things take a dark turn as he locks them inside his house and challenges their faith and their morals and puts them in a fight for their life. Now, will they get out? Will they not? Will they survive the sinister Mr. Reed? Today, we're going to find out, because it's Heretic from 2024. It's a religious movie.
And then the Lord said...
Love it.
That's the best. That if every church was like that, they would be packed.
Yeah, I'd go. Not necessarily for the message, but for the vibes.
Yeah. I think we need to start with the Mormon girls on this movie, because they have such a rough ride at the beginning, and they do a really good job of making you feel like, especially when they're walking through the street and those people are like, oh, hi, oh, can we take a photo? And they're just like, pull her skirt down and run away. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, but like, it is real. I don't know what it's like in America for you, Greg, but that like, we have Mormons around here. They come and knock in every now and again, and you're like, dude, surely there's better things you could be doing with your time, like live a life, and I feel that for these girls in this movie. I'm like, I don't know, we'll get into it, but the true protagonist of this movie for me is not how it's presented. It's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. I'm in America, man. We're like full Handmaid's Tale over here.
Let's talk about the Mormon faith for a minute, because I think we need to kind of address that before we dive into this episode. I know a little bit, but I don't know a lot. So Mormons are very much in this kind of recruitment stage where they send out missionaries, and they'll have a pair of girls or a pair of guys, and they're always same sex because they don't want any funny business going on. And same sex does not stop that, Mormon church, just in case you're like, if you send out a same sex pairing, that does not mean they're not fucking. And like, it blows my mind that that's like the mentality of that church. Like, we'll put 2 girls together because they won't do anything, and 2 guys, they're perfectly safe in hotel rooms on their own. Like, that's fine. But they go knocking door to door to try and preach the word of the gospel, or their version of the gospel. I want to say it's fucking dangerous for girls and guys to go knocking on strangers' doors and then going into their homes.
Yeah, certainly, not just regarding the religion aspect of it. Yeah, it's certainly weird to go knocking door to door, doing that kind of thing. I think they do a good job of setting out the fact that, is your wife home? We can't come in without your wife within this movie. Because, like, I don't know anything about the Mormon faith. I don't know anything about how the protocols are in place for this kind of door-to-door knocking thing. I know they do it for some reason or another, I feel like it's more prominent in America. Greg, am I wrong in thinking so? We get them here very, very rarely, but I think it's a more prominent thing in America, Mormon religion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have a few friends who were raised Mormon. They don't really come knocking on my door, honestly.
No.
But
not wearing that T-shirt, they probably don't.
Yeah, I remember the commercials. Like that's the Church of Latter-day Saints, I think, and that's with Joseph Smith and the plates. I get my religions confused sometimes because some of them are kind of wacky. But I mean, it's been so long since I've had anybody knock on my door, but I've had like Jehovah's Witnesses knock on my door before, and it's, talk about being uncomfortable. They're usually knocking on someone's door, and nobody usually wants to hear from them. So you're also putting yourself in that kind of light where nobody wants you knocking on their door to be spreading religion,
Yeah.
So they usually get met with aggression.
See, we get a lot more Jehovah's here than we do Mormons, I would have said. Would you agree, Scott? We get more Jehovah's Witnesses, especially in my end of the woods anyway. We get more Jehovah's.
Yeah, I had some the other day and I answered the door in a Freddy T-shirt, which is the funniest thing. They sort of looked at me and then looked down at my T-shirt and I'm like, no, I'm okay, thank you. And they went, okay. And I can see as they're going up the path, they're like, the full cross. Fuck, we just knocked on some crazy person's house.
But the funny thing about it is, like, we're talking about this now, and within the context of this movie, they do a really good job of implementing the pop culture references that these Mormon girls have throughout, which I thought was really, really clever. It was not necessarily clever, but almost as if a way of saying, yeah, we have these rules and we have these sort of guidelines that we have to follow, but yeah, I know who the Toxic Avenger is, Yeah. And it's like these little quotes that they drop in every now and again. It's like the Spider-Man, the Uncle Ben Spider-Man was the one that got me the most. Where it's like, what does Uncle Ben say as he's dying? It's with great power comes great responsibility. And he quotes that to one of the Mormon girls, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Uncle Ben." He's like, "No." And he quotes a biblical text, and I was like, "See, they're just normal people. They've seen Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. They know this shit is cool."
Yeah, and I like that, and I also like the fact that they reference lots of things that, like, they reference South Park quite a bit. That's gone at the Mormon Church probably harder than anyone else publicly, and they're like, yeah, well, I saw the South. I quite liked the songs. And I'm like, oh, you didn't. You really didn't like the songs. But they meet Hugh Grant's character, Mr. Reed. They give him a leaflet earlier, and then they go around to.
I'm getting out there now. I love this guy.
It's great.
His acting in this, the fact he didn't get an Oscar nomination, I feel is absolutely fucking criminal.
I see. I have to disagree with that because I don't think his performance was Oscar worthy. I think he was just being Hugh Grant, just in a horror movie setting. Like, there was nothing outstanding or elevated about his performance that made me like, wow, you are fucking incredible. It was just basically, if you took Hugh Grant from Notting Hill and put him within the confines of a horror movie setting, he was the same character. I don't think he projected himself and his performance in any other way than any other different performance he's done throughout his career. It was just seeing such a jarring juxtaposition of his normalized version of himself in such a weird setting that you're like, holy shit, like, maybe we should pay attention to this dude. And it's like, no, you don't need to, because, like, if you watch Notting Hill, he's exactly the same as what he's doing here. You just feel more creeped out by him because it's so fucking dark.
Yeah, my buddy got to watch a screening, and they got a Q&A with Hugh Grant at the end of it. And he was basically somebody asked him, like, what he prefers to do, like the old, like, kind of romantic stuff or this. And he said he was kind of always into doing this kind of role, but he kind of like was riding the wave of being beautiful.
And being an Oompa
Yeah.
The thing is, though, like
Elizabeth Hurley.
The thing is, like, doing this role, though, he took everything he does in his rom-coms. He took all that charm, all of that charisma, and he tweaked it just ever so slightly. So that when the girls come in and they're sat there and he's talking about blueberry pie and religion and he's questioning the girls, like, you see, like, he's very charming and very smiling. Then he gives just a look and his smile drops slightly and you're like, oh, you're such a bad man, and I know you're a bad man, and these girls are in so much danger, but they don't see it. And that, I love that. I love this whole setup of he sat there with them, they're talking through religion, and he's not particularly challenging him at the moment. He's like, oh yeah, my wife's here, she's in the kitchen, she's making a pie, and he's like, I'll get some drinks. He comes out with soda and he comes out with the candle on the table, and like the bit where they realize that candle is blueberry scented is just like perfect.
Man, yeah, it's brilliant. And not only that, though, I want to take a moment to appreciate the cinematography within that scene where the candle spins, the camera spins, and it's doing this constant 360 around the room whilst focusing on the girls, but then focusing on the back of the candle. It's so cleverly choreographed that when the reveal actually comes, it feels so much more impactful than it necessarily should do. You know what I mean? And I think that's amplified by the way that it's shot. And I think that can be said a lot for the way that this movie is shot throughout. They do a lot of really clever stuff with the camera work that you kind of, it lures you into sort of like a sense of security where you're like, no, that can't be the case. But then the camera work does such a good job of misdirecting your sort of thought process. And nothing amplifies it more than this candle scene at the beginning. And they go on to do it various times throughout the film, but this one showcase here at the beginning is just perfectly executed, in my opinion. I thought they did such a fantastic job of doing that.
Yeah, during that screening, they were pumping in the smell of blueberry pie for my friend.
They actually were.
And they served them blueberry pie at the same moment they realized it was a candle. So it was like
That's
kind of
so
like almost like a 4D kind of situation there.
That is taking 4D to the next level, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's honestly amazing. And like the whole premise of this, like from here on out, is Hugh Grant giving the illusion of choice, and it's the same illusion of choice that exists within religion. It's like you can choose, and like they find out the door's locked, and he's like, "Well, you can still leave. Like you should come through. My wife's in the kitchen, and you can get your blueberry pie, and then you can leave out the back." And they sort of go down, and they're like, they do this panic thing, and they're like, "Oh shit!" They try the door, and they're like, "Oh fuck! He took our jackets. The keys to our bikes are in our jackets, so we now have to go down there." And then they realize like the key is moved from pocket to pocket, so they know he's been in their coats. And this is where he just like he takes them into the only way I can describe this is it's like a weird study / religious temple room. And
I love this thing.
Yeah, like he just lays it all out on the line. He's like, do you really think my wife is here, even though all of the evidence would point to the fact that I don't have one? The candle, the doors being locked, and they're like, and
Yeah.
like the two missionaries have got two very different outlooks on faith. So you've got the blonde girl, and it's going to bug me because I can't remember her character name.
Is it Paxton?
Paxton. So you've got Paxton and
Barnes. Paxton and Barnes.
Yeah, so Paxton is the one who has been born into Mormon religion, and she is fully embraced everything there is. There is nothing outside of this, where Barnes has been converted to Mormonism. So she's had a life before, and their different approach to him challenging them. Paxton's very much trying to appease him and going, well, yes, you're obviously a very clever man, and that would be fabulous, and we'll do whatever we can to make you happy. Because in the Mormon religion, it's like, let's just make things go along, and let's not cause waves. Where Barnes has lived a life, and she's like, do you know what? No, like, fuck you. Like, you need to let us out of this right now. And I love that sort of dynamic that you have two separate viewpoints from the same religion pointing back, and it's so clever.
It's a cat and mouse game of control.
Yeah.
Which is the overall arcing story of this movie, which is executed flawlessly, in my opinion. I think the way that they execute the idea of Hugh Grant's character being so nonchalant about everything and so pleasant and so welcoming and so like the idea of this given to any constraints of a normal horror movie, the way that it would unfold would be a very stereotypical I'm the captor, you're the captee kind of thing. But like, even though that's the case in this movie, it plays out in such a weird way that you're always second guessing how innocent and how sort of inquisitive his character is. Like you question, is he actually bad or is he just curious? You know, like I know he's testing their faith, which is something that obviously he does throughout the entirety of the movie, but in the beginning stages of the film when he is testing them, it's sort of like how he's not done anything wrong. He's not necessarily done anything wrong, and all the excuses he has explaining his door locking mechanisms all have legitimacy towards them because of the dimming of the lights. The lights go out on timers and everything else that comes with it, and it's like I don't know. Like and it's an A24 movie. Just bear in mind when you go into an A24 movie, you're kind of just expecting something to be a rise. And the entirety of the build-up, I was like, I don't know if I can fully support these girls in this moment because I'm very much inclined to back Hugh Grant's character. I'm like, everything he's saying, I kind of agree with, and I'm kind of on his team at the moment. I'm kind of backing everything he's saying, and I don't know if the twist that I'm wanting is going to come where he becomes a hero.
He doesn't such a charming. He's so charming through, you know. It's like you're kind of lulled into a false sense of security about him. You know, you just don't know if he's full of shit or he's this really charming guy.
No, and I went into this movie completely spoiler-free. You know, I didn't know how it was going to unfold, and I tell you what, the build-up to it, I must have spent the first hour at least being like, yeah, man, Hugh Grant, you fucking I get what you're saying. Everything you're saying is right. Yeah, too right.
I got to the Monopoly, so he does the Monopoly analogy where he pulls out all of the different religions and he brings out like the Jewish faith, and he's like, this is the original Monopoly. And then he goes through all these other ones, and then he's like, and Mormonism, this is like this shit fucking knockoff crap Monopoly that's kind of taken some bits from the others, but it's not really Monopoly. And it's all about him saying that everything is a different iteration. So he goes through all of the other religions and ties together of like, in this religion, this guy was a carpenter and he was born on the 25th of December. And in this religion, he rose 7 days later. All of that stuff is so clever and so cool. And he takes it so far, he turns it round to the Star Wars trilogy. And I laughed my ass off. And he's like, how would you feel if one day we were talking about Jar Jar Binks like he's a prophet? And they're like, Jar Jar Binks, and then you get Hugh Grant stand there, like put his arms on my side and goes, yeah, Jar Jar Binks, you know, Jar Jar Binks. And I'm like, fuck.
Man, it's so fucking good. It is so good. And like this whole analogy involving the Monopoly sets and the iterations of Monopoly. I don't want to burn through your facts later on, Scott, but I'm going to ask it now. Is there truth to the original landlady or landlord board game? Yes. Fucking awesome. I didn't know that. And then when he used it as an analogy to explain the different variations of religion, I was like, yes, Hugh Grant, you are the fucking man. This is right. Yeah, fuck you Mormons, fuck you Christianity, fuck you Jews. Hugh Grant's the man, you know, and I was all in for it. You know me on this show. You know I'm a big advocate for atheism, and I'm like, this is perfect. Like, I am so invested in the belief system that we are all here under control due to religion, and the way that this story unfolded and continued to progress and develop within these analogies of religion and modern day scenarios. I was like, I want to explain it in the way that I have tried so many times throughout my life, and you have just perfectly laid out it that I will use this movie going forward for the rest of my life. You know, I am like, if anybody says to me, it's like, why don't you understand religion? I'm like, watch the fucking Heretic, man. Watch the Heretic and you will understand exactly where I'm coming from. And I just thought this was so perfectly executed on a level that I would never be able to explain myself, even though that's my belief system. And his whole use of the Hollies song, and then bringing into it the Creep music, which is something, the closing credits of this song, which I will get to the closing credits when they come in with the closing credits and they use Mazzy Star, Fade Into You, rhythmic intro, and I was like, oh, what a beautiful song. I love Mazzy Star. And then they go into Knock Knock Knocking on Heaven's Door by Guns N' Roses, even though it's a cover of Guns N' Roses Knock Knock Knocking on Heaven's Door. I was like, wow, if I was seeing this in the cinema and those credits rolled and this is what happened, I would have walked out of there and I would have genuinely clapped my fucking hands. I'd been like, you guys are geniuses. Absolute geniuses. And that closing credit music, the way they executed that, I was just like, wow, hats off. Genius move.
Do you know who's singing that?
I don't know who was singing it. I don't know who was singing the cover.
Do you, Scott? I don't want to burn anything.
No, I do, but you could reveal it because I found it,
Sophie
I was like,
Turner. It's Barnes.
Is it really the actress who plays Barnes? That is so cool. That is so cool. But the way that they went to that level to use that, and when they did it, and I was like, oh, that's Mazzy Star, Fade Into You. I fucking love that song. It's such a beautiful song. And then it started singing Guns N' Roses, Knock Knock Heaven and Door. And I was like, just brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. And it just sums up the entirety of this movie. And they've done it in such a subtle way that most audience goers who are not necessarily into music and don't know certain band types, such as Mazzy Star, which not many people do, I just thought it was fucking perfect, man. It really hit me hard when the credits rolled. I was just like, wow, that is just incredible. Really.
Using it to explain the iterations of religion. Have you guys seen Religulous?
No, I haven't. No.
So it's a Bill Maher movie, and Bill Maher is kind of a smarmy kind of guy, but it's a very good movie. It's just about religion, and he goes and discusses all religion, like all of them, and talks about the similarities of them. And he goes to some dark, dangerous places asking about Jesus, and it gets crazy. But that's highly recommended. Religulous is awesome.
Before we go any further, Greg, because I don't feel like we've addressed this. Me and Scott, we've done this podcast for like 3 years now, so I kind of know his stance on religion. What is your stance before I offend you going forward? Where are you in terms of your religious belief? You don't have to divulge anything to the audience if you don't want to. You can just say, I'd rather not. But I am curious to know before I go on my rants later on.
So I'm basically agnostic, but in my younger days, where I kind of believe that there is a higher power, maybe, but I'm not necessarily sure. Like there could be, there might not be. I used to
live in fear.
No, I used to be a militant atheist. So agnostic is just a little bit more accepted instead of being like, fuck you, it's wrong. But that's how I was when I was younger. I was like, if you're fucking religious, get the fuck out of here. I'm all set. But I've tried to have more of an open mind on it. But I come from like being a raging atheist, kind of switching over to agnostic. But I don't.
Do you mind if I ask you what made you switch from being such a raging atheist to being agnostic, and what it was that made you think, I'm curious to know if there is something, or what there was something in your life that made you be like, yeah, do you know what? Maybe there is a higher power.
Yeah, I mean, see, I probably still lean atheist, but it was more of a respect thing. I know like some religious people are not respectful towards non-religious people or atheists, and I just didn't want to step on anybody's toes. I started to see like, oh, this person's very intelligent, but this person is a believer and this and that. So what do I know? So it just kind of like, I sort of just, not saying that if you're an atheist, you're not accepting, but I just kind of, I try to have more of an open mind, and not that I'm right, because I don't know shit, but as I got older, I try to be a little bit more accepting, but again, I still probably lean towards atheism.
Which makes perfect sense, like, I mean, I'm a very strong atheist. I'm like, once you're dead, you worm food, but I would never be, even though I probably have been on various episodes in this podcast, I would never intentionally try to be. I would never intentionally try to be insulting to somebody's belief system. Like I think that my whole system of belief is very personal to me, and I think that if anybody believes a certain thing, and that's the way they choose to live their life, is very personal to them, and I'm not all for it. And my whole system comes down to, especially my disregard for religion as a concept, is the whole control aspect, and how it's used to fight wars, and how it's used to manipulate society.
Control, tax-free.
Yeah, it's a control thing, and it's a manipulation tactic that's used to keep
agreed.
people in line, you know, and that's where my system of belief comes from, and that's where my disregard from certain types of religion comes from, which is why I fucking love this movie, man.
See, I think I was a bit aggressive. I remember when I was younger, I was very aggressive, and I was a very aggressive atheist. So I think I kind of took a step back, and I just didn't want to offend people. So that's when I'm like, I'll kind of turn into agnostic a little bit. But
the lack of wanting to offend, does that encourage your belief? Does that make you then believe there is a higher power because you don't want to offend? You know, I'm just trying to understand, because if you go from being such a strong atheist to being like, I'm an atheist, I don't want to indulge in that, but then to take a step back because you don't want to offend, does that then encourage you to
not really believe more. I think it's more of just trying not to be
trying to be a better person,
trying to be offensive. Again, I have a ton of like raging atheist friends, and I love them, and I respect their views. Obviously, I just, like I said, I took a step back. My parents are religious; they're not like super uber religious. Like, I went to church when I was younger, but nothing like crazy. And again, I think there's some very intelligent people who are religious. I don't necessarily agree with them, but like I do
more
believe
power
that
to them. Yeah,
religion is hateful.
The thing is, I genuinely wish I could. I genuinely wish I could believe in a faith
much
system.
Easier. This is what Hugh Grant does now, where he's talking about that he gives the girls the two doors, belief or disbelief, and he's like, you either believe, and if you believe that there is a higher power who looks after you and hates gays and persecutes you if you're bad, and that's terrifying. If you don't believe, you're a horny ant flying on a rock through space at 1 billion miles an hour with no purpose and no repercussions for anything you do, and that's terrifying. Now pick a door, and the control aspect is shown beautifully, because both of the doors lead to the same fucking place. It doesn't matter what you choose.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's what I mean.
With you done. And I thought that was such a good analogy of like showing that people who believe in whatever God it may be and people who don't, you still in the end up in exactly the same place.
But again, like, what is that showcasing? Is that showcasing that at the end of the day there is nothing? So if you get peace from seeking religion, then go for it. And if you get peace from seeking atheism, is that even the right word? Atheism? Then you're all going to end up in the same place, so it doesn't matter either way. You know, it's like there is so many levels to this movie in terms of what you like. I wish I was a religious person to be able to watch this movie from a different perspective. That would be my main curiosity with this movie, is to have such a true and sincere faith to then go into it and wonder whether I would question my belief system.
There's I'm going to save it for facts, but there is a lot in this as someone who grew up very religious and within the Catholic faith. There's a lot of things that Hugh Grant said, and as he's saying it, I'm going, bullshit. And then when I fact check it, a lot of the things he says are factually inaccurate, and he's warped the facts ever so slightly to fit his narrative, to lead these girls to question their faith. So things he's saying aren't. So when he's doing his big spiel of, and this religion done this, and this religion done that, and this religion done this, and this religion does that, not all of that is accurate. And that's a deliberate writing choice that it's Hugh Grant has crafted, or Mr. Reed has crafted his own ideas and taken little bits but excluded other bits that would make his argument fall apart.
But again, that's the whole purpose of the story, though, is it not? Is that religion is that. Religion is that. And he uses that as a metaphor and says that Buddhism and the Muslims and Jewish and Christianity and the Mormon church, they all take certain elements of it to fit their particular narrative. And he's doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing throughout this movie in order to choose his own particular narrative which suits him.
He's made atheism a faith. He's made being atheist his own faith, and these now are his first two parishioners that he's now preaching his new faith to. Who saw the serial killer twist coming? Because I did not. I did not see this guy having fucking killed loads of people.
As soon as he put the glasses on, as soon as he put them fucking Jeffrey Dahmer Jeffrey Dahmer glasses on, I was like, "Yep, it's go time, bitches."
Like he gets the girls to go down into the basement, and then he's talking through the pipe, and he's playing The Air That We Breathe Through the Pipe, which is great, and he's singing along to it, which is awesome. And then he's like, "Today you're going to witness a miracle. I'm going to show you a prophet." And then this like really malnourished woman walks in and like puts a pie on the table. And I'm like, "Oh, that's not his wife. Like that's that. Oh, this is bad. This is bad." And the girls are instantly like, "Well, we're not going to fuck with that." And they're going up both staircases to try and find a way out. And there's no way out. And it's this time where the door knocks because the guy who works in the Mormon church has realized that the two girls who pick up a big chunk of the chores are not back. And he's gone looking and he's made his way to Mr. Reed's house. And Mr. Reed kind of just gets him to go away. And it's in this moment where they're distracted that this woman eats the pie. Like Mr. Reed's like, "She's going to eat the pie. You're going to see a miracle. It's full of arsenic and lots of other things. She's going to die."
Wolfsbane, which I had to Google, by the way.
And then she's going to come back. And I was like, this is the moment where I went, is this going to go supernatural? Because if it does, I'm fully checked out now. I'm done. If this is actually a prophet, I'm not interested now.
You see, that's the thing. I actually wasn't, and I was kind of hoping it did. I was, you know me, I love like Event Horizon. I love the Hellraiser franchise. So for me, I was like, yeah, fucking go. Show me this alternate. Show me this alternate idea to traditional religious aspects that you so strongly believing, and give me a reason to question it, you know. And I was like, he's going to go down that route and he's going to show this prophet, and I thought it was going to dive into this whole hellscape of ideas, and it didn't, but it wasn't disappointing because I thought like it was done in an it was executed well enough for me to be like, yeah, okay, but the potential for the ideas was there in this moment. Like if they had this rebirth, this resurrection, and they'd have taken this entirely different narrative with this insight into Dante's Inferno, which they insinuated with the picture on the wall earlier on in the movie. I was like, oh shit, like we're going to get some really, really deep content from this movie with this idea of resurrection and the one true religion. And I'm like, right, so like, what is the one true religion? What is it you're trying to showcase? And I know we get the revelation later on in the end of the movie, but for me, I was invested wholeheartedly at this moment. I was like, yes, show me something different. Show me something unique enough which will make me question my own concept on reality. And I thought that's where this movie was going. And with it being an A24 movie, I thought they had the power to execute it as well. I thought, yeah, this has the rights to be able to do so.
Yeah, but it didn't. It's a magic. It's a magic trick. Effectively, he is a magician for spouting religious text. So he's like, the girl comes back, she resurrects, and he's like, "How do you think this happened?" And earlier, one of the girls has taken a knife, and they're like, "When I say the code word, which might be pineapple or could be anything, like stab him. Like this is it now. We're in this situation. He's never going to let us go because we've seen too much. So if we get the chance, kill him."
It's magic underwear, right?
Yeah, the magic underwear. And in this moment where he's going, "How do you think we done it?" And they're arguing it back. When he slits Barnes's throat, I did not see that coming. I was like, shit.
No, I thought she was the final girl. I thought she was the one.
Well, it's almost like that. Like he knew he couldn't control her, and he could almost control this other person because she was very aggressive the whole time. Like, you know, so that's what I got.
But again, I think the movie does a good job of insinuating that throughout. Like, you know, he says, and even the girls say to each other, "No, he's got a watchful eye on me. He knows." And then he does that whole thing about one of you has a secret, one of you has a past, which we get the reveal of when they take out the implant from her arm. But when they killed her, I didn't see that coming. I was like, holy shit, like that's throwing me for a loop a little bit right now. But I I kind of saw her being the mainstay in the movie. I'll be honest.
I did. And the implant in the arm, this is when he goes full Mark. He goes full fucking conspiracy theory head case. He's like, there's a microchip in her arm.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, that's birth control. He's like, no, it's a microchip. She's being controlled. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's in the Matrix, man. She's one of them. She is an Agent Smith.
She took the silver pill.
She did.
She did. And again, this is a really good thing of like him not understanding. Like he knows that's a birth control, and then he's challenging why she would have a birth control, because she's Mormon, so they're not allowed to have sex, so that's not an issue. And not taking into account there is a million different reasons that a woman would take contraception, not necessarily to not just get pregnant, but it's used to regulate menstrual cycles. It's used for elevated stress, like lots of things you can use that contraceptive implant for. And I liked the fact that they show him as really, really intelligent in what he studied. And then this one element, he looked like an idiot because he genuinely wasn't sure. And he just threw some bullshit out into the world to try and push back.
I don't think that's the case, though. I don't think that's the case at all. I never once was like, yeah, he doesn't know. I feel like he knew. I feel like he knew full wholeheartedly the concept of the situation, and he was using it to his advantage to manipulate the other character. You know, I don't think for one second he was like, yeah, I fully believe in the Matrix concept, because I don't think for one second he did. I don't think he believed in any of the stuff that he was talking about. I think it was all an orchestrated situation in order to get the end game that he got. And I think using this narrative that he did to display it to not Barnes,
Paxton. Yep.
I think he used it in a way in order to just sort of made it more digestible enough for her to question the situation she found herself in and second guess somebody that she was so faithful to and so connected to on a level that most people wouldn't understand. And I think I don't for one second think he was out of his depth in this moment. I think it was all planned. It was all orchestrated. The camera fixated on it when he noticed it at the beginning of the movie, when you saw the scar on her arm, and the camera fixated on it, and his eyebrows raised as if to say, that's my window. You know, he knows what it's for. He understands the full idea of why that contraceptive is there, and he's just taking that situation and using it to his benefit within the moments of the movie. And I never thought for one second he wavered at all. I'm on board with this guy. Don't take this away from me.
You are not meant to be supporting Hugh Grant's character.
Look, listen, dude, I'm telling you now, right? If I was a serial killer and I wanted to play games like John Kramer from Saw, I would take inspiration from the guy from this movie, because this would be if I was a serial killer, I'd be like, yeah, bitches, you fucking Christian. Let's see how faithful you are. I would use this and I would take it and I would fucking play with it. I think this guy's awesome. I'll be honest with you. I think he's fucking great.
See, I love the fact that Paxton works it all out. So he challenges her saying, what happened? She's like, you switched the bodies. He's like, how? You've seen all of the other exits? And she has a think, and then she sort of moves the table. She's like, there's a hatch. And he's like, so there is. So it's very much like a Alice through the looking glass. He's like, yeah, so do you go down and see how far the rabbit hole goes, or do you check out now? And she's like, at this point, she's developed a bit of a backbone. She's seen her friend. She's like, Joe, what? Fuck you.
This bitch has developed fucking Spidey sense. Like,
yeah,
I think she's a great character. This movie's fantastic, but at this point, this bitch went full Sherlock Holmes for no fucking reason. That's been insinuated for the rest of the movie, that she's had this level of education to be able to decipher this full fucking cryptic maze. Like, this is a crystal maze level sort of situation, and all of a sudden she's like, yeah, you switched the bodies. You switched the bodies because of this, or because of this timing, and because of this doorway. And not only that, they then take it on to the further elements in the climax of the movie, where she has to fully break down his motives, which again, I think she's right and she understands it to a certain level, but the way that the movie portrays it makes her out to be some sort of fucking Rain Man level shit that I'm like, you ain't Rain Man. You never have been insinuated to be Rain Man before this point in the movie. I'm finding this really, really hard to digest that you've come to these sort of conclusions so quickly. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Don't look at me like I'm stupid. Tell me I'm wrong. If you believe this shit when you was watching this movie, it's like, oh yeah, that makes real amount of sense that you would automatically assume that they switched the bodies in this heightened situation.
I'm going to say with great power comes great responsibility.
Bullshit. Fuck you guys. You know I'm right. There is no fucking way.
Well, like I said, they make you think that Sophie Turner, the Barnes character, is the one who's, headstrong and she's gonna get out of there, be the final girl and stuff. That it almost flips it completely with Paxton, where like she comes out of the blue, like you said, all of a sudden she's Sherlock Holmes, kind of like solving it, and her character like grows leaps and bounds within the small time frame. Like you just like, all right, I didn't really expect this from her.
Not even Sherlock Holmes. This bitch is Doctor Strange level fucking pausing time to understand the concept of the situation. I'm like, there is no way you would understand it on that level within these confines of your situation. You are a captive, you are trapped, you are terrified, and you have just broken down this whole fucking enigma within a moment. And I'm like, no,
I'm glad she
not
did,
buying
though.
it.
I'm glad
she did. It made perfect entertainment in terms of the movie's story. But for 1 second, I was like, nah, bitch, no chance.
when she works her way, so she goes down, and when she finds the other body, and then she works her way through the tunnels, and she reaches the final door, and the final door has got their bike lock on it. Like, that was like perfect, brilliant, love that, because that's why the guy who come and knocked the door earlier didn't find their bikes, because Hugh Grant earlier went and moved them. Like, all of that was great. And she finds all these women who are captive. And this is when I had the realization that not only is Hugh Grant using religion to justify what he's doing, he's also using religion as the bait to get his victims. So he's using people, everyone who's coming through is going through this process. Only one of them survives, and then they become the prophet for his next victim. He's a process killer who's justifying what he's doing with religion and also using religion as the bait. And I was like, this is fucking brilliant. And the standoff between the two, where she like stabs him in the neck and he stabs her in the stomach, and they end up back in that room just there, like bleeding out, looking at each other. He's like, and he sort of crawls over to kill her. When Barnes got up, I was like, oh.
Resurrection.
Yeah.
Was it though?
Did you guys notice who was at the door, by the way?
No.
The actor?
No,
who knocked on the door? That's Topher Grace.
Oh, yes, sorry, I did. Yes, Venom.
Yeah.
Good old Spider-Man Venom. That guy from the 70s show. The weak one from the 70s show.
But yeah, again, it is the resurrection, but not not a real resurrection, but it's a resurrection enough that Paxton's like, I have witnessed a miracle now. And this is what spurs her on then to get up, to find a way out, to get out of the window, get into the field. And earlier that Paxton was saying, like, if she died, she'd want to come back as a butterfly. And in this moment, when she gets outside, a butterfly lands on her finger. I was like, brilliant. I'm so grateful
that they then flipped the camera and showed that it was her imagination in that moment, because had they stuck true to it as if to say it was a true sort of resurrection, because like I don't think for 1 second it was a resurrection. I think they perfectly show that the neck was cut from the side and not necessarily from the front, and I think she had reasonable issues to be able to survive that. Do you know, I think like, yeah, it might have passed her out, she might have been unconscious within a moment due to shock, but I don't think for 1 second she was resurrected within the end in terms of religious aspects in order to then save her in that moment. And then when the butterfly lands on her hand, that it shows that it was just an illusion and there was no butterfly. It was just her visualizing a metaphor, what she wanted to see in that moment, which I thought was really, really cool. Had they have shown the butterfly being there true as if it had actually happened, I'd have been like, yeah, fuck this movie.
Or she was dead, or she just didn't make it out in general. Like some people think that she might not have even made it out of the house. And
that's like a full-on like Descent end level movie where like you get to the end of the Descent and like, oh shit, did she? I don't know. Did she or did she not? I don't know. I feel like she did make it out, and I just feel like they were just showcasing her level of faith through her eyes with the utilization of the butterfly at the end.
Yeah.
But again, I'm glad that they did then switch the camera in order to show that she was just visualizing it through illusion and not necessarily through truth.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Is there any other bits that either of you want to cover before we take a quick break?
I was saving my mic drop for the fucking closing credit song, but I've already burnt through it early on, so no, I've got nothing else. I've got nothing else to say. I was saving that moment for the end where you'd be like, "Have you got anything else to say?" I'd be like, "Yeah, actually, when they used this song at the end, it was fucking fire." But no, I've already burnt through it, mate. So I've got nothing else, I'm afraid.
Okay, Greg, you got anything else?
I do not.
Okay, let's take a break.
I take like one sip of my drink and then I drop my full drink right on the robot.
To hear the rest of this story and many others like it, mixed in with film reviews, music discussion and true crime, You Gonna Eat That Crust podcast is the place for you. Hosted by Ryan, Greg and Seamus, the Crusty Boys bring you something truly unique every single episode.
Jack is useless. He pulls out his knife and he immediately loses the knife.
While if in-depth film discussion covering all movie genres is your thing, then Movies for Days is the place for you. Hosted by Newman, this show is hilariously funny and so detailed. These and many other shows all available at yourunpodcast.com. So head over to yourunpodcast.com. Make sure you check out all of the other members of the You Run Podcast Network. You've also managed to hear Greg, who's part of You're Going to Eat That Crust podcast, so you've heard part of their show, and you've heard him here now, so you have absolutely no excuse not to go and listen to that episode when you're finished here. I think that's fair. The question is, and it's the same question every week, is Mark prepared? Oh, he's prepared, damn it. Recommended account of the week. Oh, that's all you get this week because you're
well on cut it short, man. I was enjoying that. No, this week's recommended account of the week is 90s Kid Library. 90s Kid Library has the most insane collection of Goosebumps books that I've ever encountered. As most of you know who follow me on other various social media accounts, I've been in pursuit of the full, complete Goosebumps collection over the past, I think it's taken me like 2 years to get the full thing. Yeah. I completed it earlier on this year. I think it's like 63. I want to say 63. I feel like that's a number for the full complete collection. I got it earlier on this year. For some weird reason, I don't have the space in here to be able to display it. I got it. I finished it. I boxed it up. I taped that shit up and I put it into storage. I will get the space one day to be able to display it properly. But this account, this account is wild. Not only do they have the full complete collection, they have like multiple variations of individual issues that have come out. Really, really cool. If you're a Goosebumps fan, please go and check this account out. Like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is you do. Let them know the You Run Podcast sent you there. Check them out. You will enjoy it if you're a Goosebumps fan. They have some amazing, amazing memorabilia.
Yeah, it's really cool as well. Like, since recommended accounts come back, I'm sure you've seen it as well, Mark. We're getting tagged where people are going to the recommended account and saying, the reviews from the Crypt at You Run Podcast sent me here from their show. Your account's cool. And I'm like, that's fucking amazing. That's the whole point of it, is for you to go and find these other accounts. And the fact that I get to see you found it.
You fucking killed it off last year. Do you know what I mean? I was all for you recommended account. We're recommending account of the week.
But let's be true. Let's be truthful here. I killed it because every week you turn up and we had to pause the episode while you found someone.
This is it. I wasn't doing the prep. I do apologize. But we had like 6 months where he was like, I'm bringing it back, Mark. I'm bringing it back. You give me a head start. So I have like a full catalogue now of at least, I don't know, maybe like 40 episodes of accounts where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm good. So when we get maybe like September this year, if I haven't kept up with it, we might have to bin it off again for another 6 months.
Let's do some facts.
Hey, Scotty. Jesus, man.
So Hugh Grant stated in an interview that he was getting bored with playing obvious roles and being typecast, which is why he took this role on. It's also why he took on the role of the villain in Paddington, because he wanted to do some things where he was not out of his comfort zone, but doing something that people would go, "Oh, it's Hugh Grant," and he takes a sick enjoyment from like his lady followers, his lady supporters going, "Oh, there's a new Hugh Grant movie out. Oh, it's going to be really sweet. We'll go and watch that." And then they turn up and he's a serial killer. He takes some enjoyment
Or he's an
from
Oompa
that. Or he's an Oompa Loompa. So the two main girls in this, Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, were both raised Mormon. So they were able to give insight into how the Mormon church operated, which the producers and the director had done a lot of research, and a lot of what these two actresses told them altered the way they portrayed things, because what they were researching maybe wasn't as up to date as it should be. So that's why this movie is a lot more authentic than many others out there. In the end credits, they've got something really weird in the end credits. I don't know if anyone else spotted this. No generative AI was used in the making of this movie. They actually made a point of saying no AI whatsoever.
And you know what, man? Like, I appreciate the fact that they did that, because there was a few scenes early on, especially the ones where they pan out from the house with the gates and you see the snow falling and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that looks a little bit AI.
Yeah, and also
the model in the house.
Yeah,
man. You know, like stuff like that, and I'm like, that would be the type of situation where you would implement AI.
Yeah.
And I think like it's really weird. Like, I don't want to dive into it too much, but I'm going to set it up that we do dive into it. AI within the world we live in now, like there is no escaping what's coming, in my opinion. I think like it's got to the point now where like it's going to happen, and we either do we embrace it, do we encourage it, or do we take a stand and say, right, if it's implemented within the movies that we watch, we're going to boycott it. There was the latest one with Mel Gibson and Marky Mark, where I think it's called Flight Risk or something like that, and that's come under a lot of heavy criticism at the moment, where people are saying the script feels entirely AI written, and there's a lot of opening scenes within that movie that feels very AI sort of generated in terms of the movie itself. And it's like, where do we sort of go with it? Because I don't think it's an escapable element, because technology advances, things are implemented, and I think it's just kind of a given that sooner or later artists are going to become so involved within the additions of AI to help implement their stories or implement their vision that it's just going to be so normalized.
I think
the fuss that's caused about it now is kind of like, yeah, we're causing a fuss about it, we're causing an implement, but like, can we escape it? Can we get to the point where we cause such an uproar or such a riot about it that it's like we're taking away the people are saying we're taking away the power from the artists themselves, which I agree with. I think that is exactly what's happening. I think that is what the case is. You're taking away the power from the artists themselves, but I don't know.
I think it depends
it's
on.
got to that level where it's just going to be irrelevant no matter what.
I think it depends on how it's used. So, for example, there are some shots. I'm going to use The Office as an example. So, I guess you've both seen The Office. You've seen where he proposes to Pam.
Yep.
So that one scene at that gas station, that one wide panoramic shot, cost $250,000 because of all of the things with the cars.
I'll be honest with you, the scene looks shit, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it was one of the most expensive scenes in The Office, and it cost so much money. Now, recreate that scene and close the road instead of leaving it open. Don't have real people there, and fill in the cars and the other bits with AI.
Yeah.
Like that, to me, I don't feel that I've been cheated, because I'm still getting something, and all that's done is it's reduced the production cost and potentially allowed them to produce more more episodes. Like, had they not spent that much money, they've squeezed another episode in. So if it's used in the right way, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think writing entire scripts with AI, I'm not a fan of that. But little bits, I'm not as worried.
But there's this thing now called ChatGPT, and I'm saying this now like I'm very educated on ChatGPT. I'm not. I only became aware of it yesterday.
ChatGPT.
Really? Yeah.
I've only just become aware of this yesterday, and this is the thing where you can like type in what you want. Like, so let's use a medical documentary. Oh no, I tell you what. Let's use a solicitor's based letter as an example. If you was being taken to court for said reason, you could type in what your message was as a defense, and ChatGPT will then construct an entire defense speech for you to use within the court with grounds and actual facts in order to back up your argument.
Yeah.
And people have been using this in terms of like their sort of university studies and things like that in order to like pass exams as their sort of degrees and all the rest of it. Like, this is full on Skynet level shit. Like, this is scary as fuck. And I don't want to go down that road, but like, where is the line with this? You know, like I'm one of, you know me, man. I'm full fucking tinfoil hat all the way, and I always have been. But it's like getting to the point now where I'm seeing this shit crop up, and I'm like, what can this be used for? You know, like how far does this go? Like, we as a people, we're always like fucking decades behind what the people who are actually in power have. So like take the chat GP level sort of shit that we're getting now and implement that on a fucking decade level scale to people who are actually in power, such as fucking Donald Trump and Keir Starmer and all the rest of them who actually have control of the citizens and the people who live within these countries. Like,
we're run. I'm convinced we're run by AI now. And
I don't disagree with that for one level. I think, and if we wholeheartedly
go one step further, when you now get into AI voice generation, like I have enough stock audio of you and me. If I was to buy the right program, I could literally go use these two voices as two hosts and make me an hour and 30-minute episode reviewing this movie, add in this, and this. And we could produce a weekly show. We could produce a fucking daily show and it would sound like us. Like, that's where we are.
How scary is that as a concept? How scary and how terrifying is that as a concept that you can literally type in to a program and make us obsolete for what? This podcast could run for fucking 4, 5, 6, 7 years without us even being sat here in this room, just based
I am
on
telling you
AI
now,
intelligence alone.
When I get close to the end of, like, I'm going to die or I'm not going to podcast anymore, I am going to create about 35 years of podcasts with AI, with our voices, and just going to upload.
Right, and you were the problem, man. You were the problem. Yeah. You were the fall of society. Do you know what I mean? Just like, remember this moment when shit goes down and we get fucking Arnie coming back with a Tommy gun blasting shit out from a fucking tower. Just know you caused it. Do you know?
Scott Benedict Tyson.
With that. Yeah, he is exactly. Just know that you're happy and comfortable within the situation you put.
I'm comfortable with that. Anyway, moving on with facts. Put your tinfoil hat back on. None of the main characters in this movie are ever addressed by their first name. It's Paxton Barnes, Reed, and the guy who's coming from the missionary is Kennedy. You never get their first names of any of them. The musical credits, Mark spoke about this, or in fact, we all spoke about this earlier. It was Sophie Turner, who played Sister Barnes, who sang the song at the end, which is a cover of Knocking on Heaven's Door, set to the tune of Fade Into You by Mazzy Star.
I didn't Google that, so I'm so glad that I got those credentials right.
Yeah. So this all ties into the fact that Creep is a cover of the Hollies. And I didn't
see it. I'll be honest with you. I'm a big music fan. I love Radiohead.
The Hollies successfully sued them.
Did they? They did, yeah, which I Googled later on. But like, if I listen to the Hollies and then I listen to Creep by Radiohead, I personally cannot see the court case.
There's a little bit there, but not enough. Hugh Grant lies, or Mr. Reed lies. So every time he referenced another religion and how it ties into Christianity and into Mormonism, there was a deliberate change in the facts. So one of the ones he references is Ganesh. He's like, no, not Ganesh. Ganesh. He's like, Ganesh was he was a poor person who was a carpenter. He wasn't. He was a prince who lived a very rich life, and he wasn't a carpenter. So what he done, or what the script done, was melded many things together and gave us what sounded like a very coherent argument. But anyone who's got a deep understanding of religious texts or religion in general would literally sit there and systematically pull it apart, because none of the links he made back to Christianity actually work. And
which is a shame, I'll be honest with you, because if you'd given this script to Robert Eggers, which we've covered various times within this movie.
If we'd have given this to Robert Eggers, I would have been bored out of my fucking mind like I was last week with Nosferatu.
No, but my point is like Robert Eggers is very faithful in terms of
it's a deliberate choice. They deliberately done that because they wanted Hugh Grant's character, Mr. Reed, to have made his own conclusions and not draw. So like he found a fact that's kind of there, but kind of not. So he tweaked it just enough so it works. So
but it would have worked much better if it had been faithful.
Yes, but there isn't those faithful links, enough of them to make that argument. That's the whole point, that his argument holds no water under scrutiny. His argument completely collapses. Like if he'd have
my
based
point
his...
is, that's what I'm saying. Like had his argument had validity behind it, and had it been truthful, it would have been better. And you've just ruined the movie for me now, and you made me feel like he's a fucking fraud, and I've invested so much of my time into this guy. Like he to me is the new saving Christ. You know, I'm like, yeah this guy's a fucking man. And now you're taking that away from me.
Yeah, I've just saved you from drinking the Kool-Aid and dying. So when they rip the board down off the wall earlier on when they're trying to escape, there are 3 nails sticking out of it. And those 3 nails signify the 3 nails that Jesus Christ was pinned to the cross, that is their saving moment where they get that board. That is what evidently saves them. So they were saved by Jesus. And that is it for facts. We have some voicemails, Mark. Where do you want to start? I'm going to number them 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Are they all agnatistic towards me?
No.
Shit this week on my own?
No, everyone's nice this week, kind of.
Oh, okay, right. So it doesn't matter then. I'll pick 2 to go with.
Okay.
Hey guys, I remember 2 weeks ago when you suggested we send in some questions for Mark to answer. So as I'm watching Halloween 4 in preparation for your show next month, I decided to ask him if he knows who is the dude who Michael Myers kills by throwing it into the electric pylon things. Later.
Fuck you, Dave B Movies. I can't very really hear you within that voice message. Will somebody send Dave B Movies a fucking microphone?
Sounds like a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
So, do you know who the guy is who Michael Myers kills with the electrical pylons in H4?
I fucking do. I do. Because it says it right there on his fucking jumpsuit when he throws him into, and it's a thing within the H4 appreciation community. I don't run it. I'm not the president. Although if there is an opening, I'll take it. Oh,
I mean, it's all right if you don't
know. No. I want to say
Gary, Bob,
no,
Dave,
no. It's like a rookie or a bookie or a
Rocky.
Bookie. No, I think it's Bookie. I think it's
Roger.
Bookie. No,
Boris.
Scott, don't wind me up. This is important. You know it's important. I think it's Bookie. Okay. It's the answer I'm going with. I don't know if I'm right, but I think it's Bookie.
Well, as it's H4 versus Resurrection, I'm going to fact check you, and that's how I'm opening next week's episode. Anyway,
well, I've watched the fucking episode by then. I've watched the movie, and I'll know. But I think I'm going with Bookie. That's my final answer. See you next week.
Okay, let's see what else we got.
Hi, Mark, Scott. I've just come across a film which I think you would absolutely love. I've not yet seen it myself, but I'm going to very soon. And I'm aware you've just done one of my films, so I know it might take a while, but I want to actually add it to a poll next time you do comedy, horror, or whatever. And that is Clownado from 2018.
Clownado.
We spoke about that on various occasions.
I think that
I have not. I haven't seen Sharknado, so I'm embarrassed to say that. I'm a big Ian Ziering fan.
Dude,
it's good.
Listen, no. Like the first one's fucking garbage, man. But if you can push through the first and get to where it really elevates to a level where it's like, this is fucking awesome, you will appreciate the franchise.
Okay.
Maybe what I would say, we've done most of them on the show.
We got one left.
Where are we now? We've got
one
four.
left.
Are we 4 or 5?
Yeah. We got one left now. Global.
Yes.
No.
Where are we? We've done 4. Was the last one we've done?
We've done.
So
like
2 and 3 are fucking brilliant.
Okay.
1 is dog shit. 4 isn't great. But
2
and 3 are worth enjoying.
Okay.
3. Sharknado 3 purely for the Jerry Springer and the Chris Jericho cameo alone make that movie worth watching. So fun.
The fact that you have David Hasselhoff just being the fucking awesome guy that he is in that movie alone is worth watching. So check out Sharknado 3, but you have to endure the others in order to get there.
Yeah.
But you can probably top out with 3.
Clownado will definitely go in a poll. I have seen Clownado, and I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself until that becomes a thing. Right, we got another 2 to go.
I don't think that this Arnie issue is a location-based issue. I think it's more likely a bro-based issue, because all of my bros know him as Arnie and refer to him regularly as Arnie. So, yeah, I'm flabbergasted that somebody wouldn't know him as Arnie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was my point. How could you not? Yeah. If I said to you, "Here, listen, there's this new Arnie movie coming out," if you was like, "Who the fuck is Arnie?" I'd be like, "What rock do you live under?" Right, Greg.
Arnie Palmer?
Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, I listened to the Witch episode, and I heard that as well. I was like, yeah, I know him as Arnie. I know him as Arnold. Like, come on.
No, you don't know who's Arnold. He's never been Arnold.
Yeah.
He's Arnie.
He's Arnie.
Arnie.
Yeah.
So
weirdest calling we've ever had in the history of this show.
Yeah, so Lady Christ, I think we've established that it's a penis thing. Like everyone with a penis calls him Arnie, and everyone without does not. That comment's going to get me in trouble, I'm sure. Next, last message.
So I have to send you guys a message because I started laughing listening to the Nosferatu episode. I wasn't going to listen to it right away, but then I was like, well, whatever. I'll just go ahead and listen to it because I think, Scott, I told you I wasn't going to waste my time watching that movie. But towards the end where you're doing the facts and you said, Onion Taylor-Joy was going to play one character and then Harry Styles would play, I guess, Nosferatu. And Mark's, what the fuck? Shit, that was hilarious. It really didn't matter, though. He's not wrong. I saw the stills of Bill Skarsgård, who I adore, and I think he's a great actor. But you could not tell. You literally could have put... Either one of y'all could have done it. You would have never known. But still, I like Bill Skarsgård, but probably not going to watch the film. All right, I'm going to finish listening. Bye.
I started last night. I didn't finish it.
Oh, did you not, dude?
No, I fell asleep. I was just.
What did you think?
I loved it so far. I pretty much only made it to Beetlejuice 2. I can't. Lighthouse. Willem Dafoe. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. It's such a beautifully shot movie, especially if you like the original as well. I think that it elevates the story on a level that's just
it's almost the same story as Dracula, essentially, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh man, it's fucking Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula story, but using the Nosferatu fucking name tag to sell it.
Different iteration of it.
Yeah, it's so good, man. It's so good. I love it. But hey, go back and listen to our Nosferatu episode from last week.
Well, I will. I think I'm going to finish it tomorrow, and I definitely will.
We had a Spotify comment this week. This comes from Chaz. Titillating show. Thanks for being my lustful desire of podcasts. And this is obviously a reference to Nosferatu. So we are a lustful desire of podcasts. I like that. All I need now is someone to go, I like living deliciously with a You Run podcast and my life is complete.
Dude, did you see that photo that I sent you after we recorded the Nosferatu episode? And I woke up in the morning and found that book that my wife had.
Yeah.
That was creepy. Yeah. My wife had a book, just, again, this is weird because I'm talking to Scott like everybody else knows what we're talking about. I woke up after we'd recorded the Nosferatu episode, and one of the main quotes in it is "live deliciously." Yep. And I woke up the next day, and my wife had a book within the house, and it's like a women's self-help book, and it was like, oh yeah, women who want to live deliciously, which I'd seen various times throughout the house. But it wasn't after recording the Nosferatu episode that I woke up the next day and I was like, holy shit. Oh, no, it was after the witch episode. It was a witch episode. Yeah. It was a witch where it's like, live deliciously.
Yeah, that's
I woke up the next day and I saw it and I was like, holy shit, my wife's a fucking witch.
Have you guys seen or read Nosferatu by Joe Hill?
No, I love Joe Hill as an author. I think he's fantastic.
It's fucking great book. The show, they had a show on it and the show was, it was all right, but the book is excellent. They also have a graphic
they actually
novel.
had a show, Nosferatu.
Yep.
Is that? Oh yes,
so
yes.
It's like the license.
The guy who played Hero. They went to Christmas Land.
Yes, Christmas Land. The book is fucking wild. The book is awesome.
Wild. Did that get a complete thing in the series? Because I watched the first series. It was all right.
Yeah,
I thought the guy who played Skylar in Heroes was fantastic, but then it kind of dipped off enough for me to not watch the second series. Did it get a second series? And did it finish off?
It did. I don't know if it finished.
No, that's a shame. That's a shame. I
I
love Joe Hill as an author. That's really cool because because Nosferatu, but it was spelt like the license plate.
Yes, the license plate.
Which was NO402. Yeah. Really
Charles Minks the Vampire. Yeah, the book is awesome. They also have a graphic novel that's really, really great.
Right. See, I would be more inclined to read the graphic novel than the book, I think. But yeah, I don't think the show did a very good job of elevating the story. I feel like there was more depth to it than there actually should have been in the show. But yeah, no, man, I watched the first season. I thought the elements there were cool as shit, but I just don't think it was executed very well.
Yep.
Sorry, Scott.
I have no idea what either of you were talking about. I have not seen any of it. So we're going to move swiftly on into one sentence review. I quite like one sentence review. I think it's actually better than 3-word review, especially for a movie like this. There's no way you could give this a decent 3-word review. It's too deep to do that with. We put it out everywhere. What an oddcast. Man explains Monopoly to Mormons whilst listening to Creep and proceeds to show them an even better game called Faith. And they're a horror podcaster.
I love that.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Movies for days. See it for the great performance, but forgive the dull ending. I quite liked the end.
I have to disagree. I've seen multiple people say that they felt that this movie fell off at the end. I disagree.
Greg's one of them.
I think there's an element of this movie where it went in a direction what I wanted it to go in, which I've expressed on this episode already, where I felt like it had the opportunity to take it into a level which I would have much preferred. But I don't think that what we actually got as a resolution was a disappointing conclusion, in my opinion. I felt like it concluded in a very, very, very well-rounded way and a very more grounded way than I expected it to go in. I thought it was going to get very sort of otherworldly in terms of its story, and the fact that they kept it grounded, I felt like the execution was perfect in my opinion. But again, if you've got to that point where I got to in the movie and you hit that point where you was like, oh, this is going to be fantastic, this is going to be a whole Event Horizon fucking Dante's Inferno kind of level shit, and it didn't go there, I could understand your disappointment from it. But I managed to pull myself out of it in that moment and keep myself fixated on the movie and the narrative that it was trying to explain. And for me personally, I thought I don't think for one second that it disappointed within the final act. But I have seen a lot of people say how upset they were by the closing act. It's a shame. I think it's a shame, that it went in that level. But I think that comes down to personal expectations rather than the movie itself.
Yeah, and each their movie subjective. That's the joy of film.
Yeah, of course.
And that comes from Newman, Movies for Day podcast, member of the You Run Podcast Network. Excellent show. Talbot Enjoyer, beautifully horrifying film that had me question everything I ever believed. And they're an MMA addict. Moving over to Instagram, Mondo Street SC. Believe, have faith, and show no doubt. And these Mondo Street SC bring us Between the Facts podcast, again, member of the You Run Podcast Network. And the final one, honestly, this one broke me. I laughed. It's very rare I get something come through and I laugh out loud, but I laughed out loud. This comes from Mike the Movie Misfit. This movie is about two girls standing in front of a boy, asking him to let them go.
I saw this, man. I saw this on your fucking post, and I just literally burst out laughing at the thing.
So,
those of you who've never seen Notting Hill, go watch Notting Hill, and you will get the reference. It was so cool.
So good. We've reached a point in the show that we only do kind of once a month now, so I guess it's time for this.
These questions will let you know. Broken Spirit 2.0, making tears of people flow. No lifelines, no one helps. These questions will let you yelp. Broken Spirit 2.0, making tears of people flow. No lifelines, no one helps. These questions will let you yelp. Broken Spirit, broken spirit, broken spirit, broken spirit.
Yay! I love Broken
I don't get to
Spirit.
do that very often. That's cool. I like the fireworks at the end. That's nice.
Broken Spirit is our quiz where it's really simple quiz. It's the first one of 2025. However, we are going to include the two people who played it at the end of last year into the scoreboards. It's 10 questions, 10 points per question. Everyone you get right, you keep going. You can take your points and walk away at any time, and that will be your final score. Or you can keep going, and if you get one wrong, you leave with absolutely nothing. The leaderboard currently stands with Jim's Retro Emporium in second with 30 points, and Heather Silman, co-host of You Run Podcast True Crime, first with 40 points. So realistic goals to shoot for, I think. I don't think they're wildly out of reach. But if I'm honest, that all depends on how much you know about Hugh Grant, Greg.
No, Jesus.
Just to be clear, Greg, I brought this to the table, and I'm like, dude, you're theming this around Hugh Grant, even though this is our art house horror month.
Yes.
He's like, yeah. But no, it's a full Hugh Grant theme quiz.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
So, can I take the points and end right now?
So it's themed around Hugh Grant. Every question will be about him and his contributions to cinema. They start really, really easy. They start so easy, and then they get progressively harder. No pressure, but my wife done this quiz earlier, and she took a clean sweep and broke Broken Spirit with her unbridled love for Hugh Grant. So who would you like to go first, me or Mark?
We'll go with you.
With me, okay. What is the name of the character Hugh Grant plays in 2024's Heretic?
Reed.
That's correct. Oh, in fact, before we continue, when you get one correct, you hear this.
Yes, Daddy.
So sucks that Seamus isn't here. Seamus is a huge Hugh Grant fan. God damn it.
So Seamus would have been very beneficial for you tonight. Seamus out on his boat.
Sailing up to the lighthouse. So you got 10 points after a great start.
Question number 2. Hugh Grant played William Thacker in Notting Hill, but what actress played the leading lady? Speak out loud. Speak out loud.
I've never seen Notting Hill, so
you've never seen Notting Hill.
Notting Hill. I'm trying to think of.
She's famous for being in other rom-coms, arguably one of the most famous rom-coms of all time.
Yes. Dude, I can't fucking give you that, mate. You're a musical man. You should know.
I mean, I'm probably gonna. It's not Elizabeth Hurley, is it?
Dude, listen. Before you lock your answer in, just concentrate.
Okay.
Usa. Think about what you're gonna say. Listen to what me and Scott have just said.
Pretty woman walking down the street.
Julia Roberts.
Fuck it, you might as well have given that one a play.
well done. You're on 20 points at question number 3.
Just to be clear, that is the most help you're going to get on this quiz from now on.
Yeah.
The next time you think of shooting out names, just take a breath and think, I can't do this question and I don't know, so I'm going to take my points.
Yeah, I got you.
What 2017 sequel of a family movie does Hugh Grant play a man out to catch a teddy bear?
Paddington 2?
Yes.
Boy. Well
That's
done.
correct.
Right, question number 4. You are on 30 points. Question number 4. What British rom-com did Hugh Grant play the Prime Minister in the UK?
You don't have to answer it. You could take your points and walk away, and you'd be tied in second.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk away. I was gonna say Love Actually, but it's probably not that.
Are you sure you want to walk away?
Are you sure you want to walk away?
Love Actually.
Yes, Daddy.
In first. Question number 5. In 2023, Hugh Grant starred in another family movie alongside Timothy Chalamet.
Chimney?
Timothy Chalamet.
Chimney?
Chimney. What was that movie called?
Do you want to say the actor's name again, but properly, so everybody can understand it? Because I feel like you butchered that, not just once, but about 3
Timothy
times.
Chalamet?
That's it, yeah. In 2023, Hugh Grant starred alongside Timothy Chalamet. What was that movie called? Chalamet.
It's not Chalamet.
What is it then?
Greg, what is it? It's not Chalamet, is it? You're an American.
Timothy Chalamet? I thought it was Timothy Chalamet.
No,
My buddy's
right,
obsessed with
I
his...
might be wrong. I might be wrong, but I do not think it's Chalamet.
Trying to think of the old Timothy Chalamet movies there.
We spoke about this on the episode numerous times when we spoke about Hugh Grant playing different roles that he is normally accustomed to. Just think about his stature.
Yeah.
Think about his stature. Think about him possibly being orange skinned.
Oh man, you gifted it.
Was that too obvious?
Oh yeah, now I know it. Yeah. It's Willy Wonka.
I'm sorry. Just to be clear, if anybody else takes on Broken Spirit, you will get the same help up until question 5.
I'm getting my hand held throughout this whole thing.
You are now sat in first place, but you could end up on the bottom of the leaderboard by getting a question wrong and being where Mark is with 0 points from when he done it.
No, we don't need to go there.
Yeah.
I have a chance. I have a chance to redeem myself.
It's your question, Mark.
No, I just did the. Did I not just do the chimney?
No, you didn't do that one. It's your question now. Number 6.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Question number 6. You're on 50 points, and I'm very professional. I know exactly where I am within this quiz. Question number 6. How many Bridget Jones movies has Hugh Grant appeared in?
Man, do I want to roll the dice and just extend my lead?
Just be aware, you can take your points, you can walk away.
Yeah.
You don't
You
have
could
to
sit on
answer the
top,
question.
or you could gamble it and keep going.
You could risk it. You could risk it and be like,
so much pressure.
There is so much pressure. But
whatever decision you make now, you're going to hear one of these two sounds. If you take your points, you're going to hear this. And if you get it wrong, you're going to hear this.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
Or you might hear this again.
Yes, Daddy.
I mean, I'm not answering it right now, but I mean,
No, that's fine. You don't need to lock it in yet.
Well, yeah, my thought is that, like, like the sequels were shit, so I'm like thinking that maybe he only did one, but like,
Did he do one?
Yeah.
Did he do more?
I don't know how many there are. I'm thinking,
you can walk away. There's no shame in being top.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk away. I would have probably said 2 or 1. 2 or 1 was my first. I would have probably said 1, but leaning towards 2, I guess. But yeah, let's walk away.
You gonna take your points? Okay.
Yeah, take my points.
Pussy.
You are now sat on top of the leaderboard with 50 points, with Heather just behind you and Jim's Retroporium at the bottom, with Mark holding everyone up with 0 points at the very, very bottom.
Yeah, because I'm a game player. I like game play. If
Yeah.
I'm going to win, I'm going to win. I'll take it to the top.
All 10. So it was. If I would have said 1,
You'd have been wrong.
Okay.
You'd have been wrong. It was 2. He was in.
But you would have also been wrong in 2 as well, even though Scott's put 2 as the answer, because he's also in the new movie that's coming out later on this year,
which isn't out yet. He says
it isn't out yet, but that would have still made it his 3rd appearance in the Bridget Jones franchise.
But I think you'll see it's worded, how many Bridget Jones movies has Hugh Grant appeared? He hasn't appeared in that yet because they've not made it.
But the trailer's out. Does that not count?
No, it's not appeared in the movie.
Fuck off. That right. I need logistics for these quizzes, man. I need to know the rules. I need to know the confines of the questions and what is actually stipulated within the rules.
I love the kind of woman that will actually just kill me.
No, if you'd have said 2, mate, I'd have been honest with you. I'd have been like, yeah, you're right in terms of what Scott said, but in my opinion, you're also fucking very wrong.
You're
and I would
wrong.
Take your points away from you. I'd have been brutal as shit. And I'd have fought with Scott there and then. Would have had a fight on the show. It'd have been real fucking graphic. But that's.
I don't know if anyone listening has realised Mark's getting very confrontational and aggressive this week, and it's all because he's gearing himself up to get his fucking ass handed to him next week. That's all it is.
I'm just working myself up for next week. Yes, I am. I'm building up the confidence.
I'm warming up your spot.
Yeah, you're using this as like a test episode.
Greg, I like you. You've been a real good host, man. Do you know what I mean? Don't take sides. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy, man. Don't do that.
Mark, you could round off on this one first.
No, I'm going to keep it plain and simple. I thought Heretic was a fantastic movie. Do you know what I like? I always say that I really hate movies that deal with religion in terms of the sort of pushing nature of what they're trying to deal with in the narrative within the film. But I think this movie is sort of really appealing to me in terms of the way that it questions beliefs and pushes those sort of religious aspects to the forefront. I was really invested in Hugh Grant's character, especially within his sort of belief system himself as a person. I thought the terror aspect was really, really handled well. There was a lot of moments within this movie that I felt very much on the edge of my seat. I was very like, oh shit, this is going in a direction that I wasn't quite anticipating. The cinematography was outstanding, especially like, just for an example, which I know we've mentioned already on the show, the use of the blueberry candle, the way the camera pans around and follows the candle and then follows the actresses as they're watching this thing turn around. Just so amazingly choreographed. Casting wise, I don't think anybody would have quite been able to deliver such a spine-chilling performance as Hugh Grant did in this moment. And I don't know if it's something that is done because it's so out of the norm for him in terms of what we are used to as an audience. I'm trying to think of an actor that you would probably put coincide with him in this situation.
Hugh Laurie.
No, because Hugh Laurie is not sort of a mainstay guy where you'd be like, oh yeah. I mean, I know he's known as House within the TV series, but in terms of like being like that sort of charming, investable kind of character where I mean, it brings it back to the whole Bridget Jones thing. I think if you cast Colin Firth in this role, yeah, that would be like the same sort of level kind of thing. The way he's known as such a delight, if you will, such a delight, that to see him do something so heinous and so untoward is so discomforting for a viewer and such an audience member. I don't know if you get that as well, Greg, being an American, because like for us being British, like Hugh Grant is like the epitome of what he's like our level of James Bond in terms of romance movies.
Yeah,
you know?
no,
So
I got
like,
that.
yeah, so like
Don't
for
go
us
there.
to
It's
see
a
him
crime
doing...
that he was never James Bond.
No, well, yeah, I
crime
agree with
he
that
wasn't
as well.
James Bond.
Yeah, I do agree with that as well. But I mean, like, for us to see him play something that's so out of the norm for his sort of stereotypical casting roles, it was wild. But I will be honest with you, I do feel like there was a certain element of the story where I would have liked to see him step it up. There was a moment in the movie where I feel like he could have elevated it to such a darker place, but he did keep it very monotone throughout. And I don't think that's a negative towards the movie per se. I don't think had it done that it would have elevated it to a level where I'd have been more appreciative of it. I just think that when it got to the closing stages, I was like, oh man, imagine the same way when you watch Black Phone and you see Ethan Hawke, somebody who Americans love. Ethan Hawke's a fucking fantastic actor. He's known for being the hero in very many movies. When you see him in Black Phone, it's creepy, it's unsettling, and you see him play this role which you feel very discomforted by. But then he goes to that level within the final act of Black Phone, which is such a fucking wild level of sort of like discomfort where he goes full rage. I would have liked to have seen that from Hugh Grant within this movie, where he went full sort of explosive, but I don't think at the same level that it would have worked within the confines of the script. You know, like he's a very grounded person, he's a very educated person, and his belief system comes through within that all the way to the end. And there's no necessary need for him to do that as an actor or as a character in this movie, but it would have been nice for me to sort of see him go full rage and go sort of like full rah, sort of kind of thing. I'm rambling because it was just a little nitpick of mine when I was watching the movie that I wanted to see him do that. But again, I don't think it would have worked within the confines of the film itself. I thought this movie was fantastic. It challenged a lot of things that I personally agree with within my own belief system. I thought what it did and the way it took it and the way it presented it to the audience was handled very, very well. Surprisingly enough, this was one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had in the cinema in a long, long time. Bear in mind, we've just come out the back of Nosferatu. I love Nosferatu. I thought it was visually beautiful, but this was one movie where it actually fully engaged my attention, and I was sat there and I was like, yes, all the way through, and then everything changed, and I was like, yes, keep going, yes, this is amazing. And I haven't had that in a long, long time watching a film. So, dude, I have my qualms with it. I have issues where there was things that I thought that I could benefit and I could elevate and I could make better. But again, like, that just comes down to personal taste. But for me, I just thought this was a fantastic movie from start to finish. It really gripped me. It really held my attention. And yeah, it's a 5 out of 5, man. I just don't know what I would fault in it and what I would pull apart to be able to say to you guys, this pissed me off, that pissed me off. You know, and I know I've said things about Hugh Grant and what I would like to see from him as an actor in within this role, but I don't feel like it was necessary, and I don't feel like the absence of it deflected the movie in any way. I think it was great. It was a really, really enjoyable flick. It made me think a lot. It made me question a lot of things. I just think it was fantastic. I really do. Which is strange for me to say that.
Yeah, you on a religious movie. A religious movie that scored more than a 3 is like fucking unheard of from you.
Yeah.
Where are you with this, Greg?
Well, so maybe the American actor that would be equivalent would be maybe like a Tom Hanks. like to have like a Tom Hanks who's like kind of
Yes.
just a nice
Yes.
guy. But I get that. Like this guy is like you're unsuspecting of this guy, even though you know that something is wrong right away. They did a great job with the cat and mouse between the three of them. I thought all three of them were excellent in the movie. I mean, overall, I thought the movie was excellent. I'm not saying it fell apart at the end. A few things definitely I thought could have changed a little bit. But I did really like it. Like when you were talking about The Witch and a couple weeks ago, you had mentioned like these art house movies are kind of tough to get into, because usually you're into the slashers and you like just to sit down, turn your brain off, watch the slashers. So these really intricate, deep movies with horror, it's tough to dive into sometimes, and really you almost have to watch them a few times to get everything. And again, not that the ending fell apart. I thought they could have done some things different, but I did really enjoy it. I thought Hugh Grant was excellent. I thought all the girls were excellent in it as well. I would say it's a 4 out of 5 for me.
Good scores across the board so far. It's fantastic. Hugh Grant, Sophie Thatcher, and Chloe Easter, all great. Like they all brought their A game to this. They were all believable. The way that they deliver themselves and the fact they've all got 3 separate viewpoints discussing the same thing, I thought was fabulous. There's so much depth of religious rhetoric within this, of many different faiths. And the fact that they challenge not just the Mormon faith, they challenge Catholicism, they challenge Judaism, they challenge every single faith in a way. Like just that Monopoly scene alone, they systematically pull apart religion, literally thread by thread by thread. And then he goes over to the wall and pulls religion apart even more. Like that, for me, who's someone who grew up in a very religious background, was thoroughly enjoyable. Going, this is funny to me because the things you're saying are the things I was thinking as a kid. Like, I'm not invested in this, and I thought that was great. The serial killer switch, I thought was good. I think it's quite easily telegraphed that you can see that that's kind of where it's going. He's either a serial killer or something along those lines, but it didn't lose its effect because of that. I love the fact that he not only uses religion to capture his victims, but also then uses it to justify the horrific things he does so he can capture another victim. Like that's an extra layer I thought was brilliant. Cinematography is fan-fucking-tastic. The shot where Chloe East is walking through the house and they pan back and she's in the model and then it pans up and shows you Hugh Grant. Like that is just fabulous.
It was good. It was good. I'll be honest with you. It was good, but I don't think it was great.
I really like that. And it was done by the same team who done Hereditary. That's what
I was going to say. I was going to bring Hereditary into the mix, and I was like, it's not as good as what they did in Hereditary.
It's not. It's done on
it's the same team. It's like,
it's done on a smaller scale here. They only done one shot like it. I really liked it. I will definitely watch this again, probably multiple times, because this is one of those movies, like as Greg said, every time you go back, you're going to pick up something new. And now that I've been away and I've looked and I see all the things he says that are lies, I want to watch it again with that knowledge to see the girls' reactions and see how much of those lies they visibly show that they're picking up on, to know how aware they were of what's going on. Like, it's got so much depth to it. I want to give it a 5 out of 5, but I'm kind of leaning to a 4.5. I'm going to give it.
It deserves it.
I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. So it's high scores across the board for this. This brings the month of art house horror to an end. We say goodbye to art house horror. It also means we now have enough movies that we can release our rankings for January of where all of these movies appear on the pecking order. And that's going to be added to every month. At the end of each month, we're going to release our rankings and we're going to see what the best movie we review this year is and the worst movie we review this year is. We're going to be back next week, kicking off the 90s slashers. And we're doing H4 versus Halloween Resurrection, which in itself is fucking ridiculous because Halloween 4 does not deserve to be there because it came out in 1988.
Dude, Halloween deserves to be there in any situation, especially Halloween 4. So I don't care.
So next week it is going to be an argument between me and Mark. It's a heavily listener interactive episode. TikTok waded in and kicked the fuck out of me heavily for my love of Halloween Resurrection. So there's an element in the show which is basically everyone pick on Scott, and Mark's going to thoroughly enjoy it, and everyone else is as well.
I am. I'm going to love it.
Before we go, Greg, can you give us like all the details of where we can find you, where we can find your band, where we can find your show, and all of that stuff? This is your bit to sell yourself. Give us your religious pitch for your religion.
Just no hate. You can find my band on Facebook, Instagram, Follically Challenged Band. You can find the podcast, Spotify, YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, pretty much all things that are social media. You can eat that crust. We're just comedy podcast. We like to tackle many different subjects. We're trying to dip our toes into some movie reviews, but we're amateurs, man. You know, maybe if I let Benedict Dyson kind of write my script, we get some good stuff going on.
You can also find Mark's broken. You can also.
I love that.
You can also find You Gonna Eat That Crust podcast on yourunpodcast.com. So when you go there, I think they're the second or third, no, the second row down, second on the far left. So literally scroll down, you'll see their logo, click on that, and that will take you straight to all their episodes that they've released, and you can find them there as well. Huge thanks for coming on, Greg. It's been wonderful.
Thanks for having me.
Here.
It's a blast.
Yeah, really, really cool. Glad you're here. And I need to come back on your show. I had a blast when I come on your show as well.
We'd love to have you guys both on the show.
Oh, dude, honestly, trying to pin me down is fucking nightmare material. I would love to do it, and I would be like, yeah, I'll be on there, mate. I'll be there. I'll definitely do it.
Well, you'd be perfect for our show then, because that's how I feel with my other guys.
Yeah, I don't turn up for many things. It's amazement that I'm here every week to do my own show, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, we record ahead because there are times where Mark's like, do you know what? Not this week, man. I'm not feeling it today.
Real quick, I've been doing some collabs with Justin from Pop Culture Reflections as well too. We got something cooking in the future as well. So
that's cool.
He's awesome. Justin's great as well. Like I love the episodes you and Justin doing together, especially when you're talking about music and stuff like that. Really, really cool. Well, that's going to call an end to this. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and remember, we don't talk about Taco Bell. Mark's just gone blank.
I don't even know what to say to that, man. I don't. Like, what response was you expecting? Like, what?
That's Barnes.
Say that again. Say that again. And tell me what you think I should have followed up with.
We don't talk about Taco Bell, and you should have gone, see you later, guys, and then I'd have hit the music, and everyone would have had a chuckle. No,
because that has no concept to what you're saying. That has no concept to what you're saying. You're saying like a quote that people would have to understand. So, like, right, let's try again.
Right. And remember, there are times that Mark can be a prick, and you're going to see it next week. Okay, bye!
You want to die tonight?
Jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. You run podcasts, horror movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. Thank you for taking us on this chilling ride.
find your lack of faith disturbing.